It's your show.
Meeting is being live streamed.
Got it.
Got it.
Got it.
Upcoming.
Got it.
We all got it.
Fleming.
I do what?
Got it.
Got
Okay.
it.
I didn't get it.
Thank you. Come again live.
You can't say that.
You can do it.
Pal.
Live.
How do I get just the chat?
Got it.
I don't think I can on this. No, I can't. I have to go.
Oh, feedback.
Yep. We're just getting set up.
Got it.
Got to pop out the
Prepared.
chat here. Let me I gotta get that alt tab.
New York sucks. That guy doesn't like New York, man.
No, he's working on that. He was talking about that. He knows what I'm talking about. Whoa. Yeah. Pusher. We're gonna talk about Pusher. We did
Push it.
did an install video. Came out really nice. We were really pleased with it. And Beard Ford Tech, yo, evening wankers.
Wankers.
Hello. What's up, B? A lot of guys have been asking about the update for the U3021. It's still or 3012 rather. It's still coming. It's just not released yet. Probably getting into the end of March, beginning of April. So just hold on for that. Zeekster, what is up? Cliff. We have a 08 F250 we're going to talk about. 6.4, I don't like talking about.
Put a Cummins in it.
Yeah. But we have some shift indicator light that's blinking, the Prindle, commonly known, the Prindle. And if you guys know, even on the 6.7s, when those don't light up, we're having a communication issue or power ground to the TCM. Let's see here. What do we have? What do we have going for shorts this week? And catastrophic transfer case. That's not good. Another one is the 4x4 noise that you guys are hearing from the hubs. I don't know if any of you guys in the comments are having that issue with it going to 4x4. Look at the short that I made 2 days ago, and it's pretty pronounced, and it's not anything you can really say is normal. I had one guy say he took it to the dealer and they said, just keep driving and it's going to go away. What?
I got a little something for you.
Definitely doesn't sound normal. Lay it on us, DS.
So with regards to noises, like 4x4, you got a little noise. When is it actually a problem that you can service?
Like transfer case noise, or just the actual?
Just in general, like my steering wheel, you can hear the clock spring. I started up in the morning, you can hear the freaking belt squealing. But then it warms up and goes away, but it's a brand new truck.
There's moisture.
I mean, there's nothing I can do. I can't take it in, but it's just a little weird,
You can't take it in.
Right.
I mean, if I take it in,
just tell them that the belt squeals in the morning. See what they do.
right. I know, and like it's not gonna be squealing by the time I get there. Like it sounds like I gotta I have to leave it and all that, and then they have to mess with it, then they have to figure out which one it is. And I don't know if it's
This is on the Zilla?
Yeah, this is on the 7.3.
Hold on.
The thing is, if there's really something wrong with a pulley, it could seize up and just smoke that belt eventually. But
Which means you should fucking take it in.
You gotta.
I should address these problems now, huh?
Yeah. Don't be a bad owner. We talk
Dude,
about that stuff.
I'm terrible. Like I put things off. To me, it sounds like when I start that truck up, it sounds like it sounds like a pulley. It sounds like a pulley. And then sometimes the power steering sounds a little funny when it's cold. Sounds like the power steering pump is a little sus, and then it
How-
warms up and
how
goes
long-
away.
How long does the noise last before it goes away?
With the power steering,
Just the
And-
noise, the squeal in general.
just like a minute. Just like a minute or so. It gets
So-
warm
Fan clutch.
and then
So
it
get
goes
a
away.
bottle of water,
Uh-huh.
put a couple holes in the top of it, squirt the damn belt while it's running with the water. If it goes away, then it's the belt. If it doesn't go away, it's a pulley. Take that shit in and get it checked out, because it's going to snowball and it's going to get worse when you least expect it. Something's going to lock up or something's going to be a problem.
Okay.
I mean, if you got to leave it, you got to leave it. I mean, that's what we need, though. When we look at stuff like that, that's what you got to give it to us in the condition where we can identify it. Because if you don't, that's how you set yourself up for no problem found. Send this shit right back out of here.
So I know I could probably send it to Aaron and he'd figure it out. But
Right.
if I wanted to go somewhere closer, I feel like it's hard to communicate to a dealer, that something is even wrong, because I just feel like they got so much going on. If it's a little problem, they kind of put it off.
But they may just tell the guys, you know what, if it's that big of a deal, put the belts on it for the guy and let's just see if it goes away.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You never know, but you got to try. I mean, unless it leaves you stranded somewhere or something bad happens. I mean, then that's how we get a lot of the commentary from the people that come to us, because they do exactly what you just said. They think exactly the same way that you think, and then we don't see it until it's bad, and then it's like, oh, why the fuck did you bring it in sooner?
Yeah.
You know?
Now, what do you think about the clock spring making noise in the steering wheel?
Can you make the noise the clock spring is making at all? Does it sound like a spring binding or coming unwound, or you just hear it rubbing?
Sounds like a spring. It sounds like a spring bounding.
You
Binding.
does it sound like it's like it's something rubbing behind the horn?
Yeah.
I've heard that before, but I've
I
heard
have,
it.
I have a clock spring I gotta put on a 21 350 tomorrow for the same kind of.
Does that mean I should get that addressed, or is that just like being a little
Sure.
bit too much of a stickler?
Oh, do it.
Yeah.
That's what you get. That's where you pay that
paid for that
premium.
warranty.
That's why the warranty's there.
You're paying that
Yeah.
premium price.
Nice.
Get your money's worth.
Yeah. Yeah, I just get nervous when I take it in and they're like, yeah, we'll have it we need to get 4 weeks with it and then we'll take a look at it. Just park it. I'm like, oh, that's a toughie for me.
Not gonna happen.
Call the CRC.
What was that, Cody?
A
Call
DCR.
the CRC.
Call who?
All
Customer
CRC.
care? Oh, okay.
Customer care.
I
So
dropped off
do you
my
guys,
truck.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I dropped off my truck. They're telling me that it's going to be, weeks to get this back. It sounds like it's going to be something simple, but I operate a business out of this truck. I can't wait weeks to get this truck back. I need
Yeah.
somebody to look at it, and they'll reach out to them and make something happen.
Oh, yeah.
They'll try. I mean, they're not always successful, but they have a high success rate. Let's just put it that way.
What do
You guys tell me what you think. When I did this whole windshield thing, after I did it, a couple people commented and they were like, you could have taken that in and got it taken care of and they would have fixed everything for you because it's the windshield and the sealant and all that. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's probably true. I don't know.
Just bumper to bumper, it's bumper to bumper.
No, this one's out. This one's out of bumper to bumper.
Well, recently, I let Aaron knows about the guy. You know that guy, Aaron, on TikTok that's got that Tremor Super Duty.
with the water leak or whatever?
Yeah, so he had a water leak. He dropped it off at the dealer. They took a bunch of stuff apart and pinpointed it to the fender emblem or something somewhere with the fender. And they replaced some kind of emblem or seal with the decal that goes on the fender or something behind the fender or whatever it was. That didn't fix the problem. There's still water in it. Takes the truck back. It says it's still getting water in the floor. So they take some more stuff apart and they say, okay, now we fixed this. But when he goes to pick up his truck, He's like, this is getting ridiculous because they didn't put the plastic trim back where it went. The floor mats were on the wrong side of the truck. They weren't even on the right side of the truck when I picked the truck up. And then he says, now I'm taking it back a third time because the water's still in the floor. He took it back like four or five times, and he was out without this truck for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally, he was like, oh, I'm done with this, man. I'm done with this. Why are you guys doing this? They sent an engineer out to look at it. The engineer said it was fixed. It wasn't fixed. Water still kept getting in the driver floor. So he raised the stink about this thing. Finally, after weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting for it, was like, look, there's too many documented repairs for water leaks on this truck. We're just buying the truck back. It's not even worth to continue to go through the hassle. They bought the truck back because these Super Duties, these water leaks, I guess certain dealers are really having a hard time finding these water leaks. And even Ford sending engineers out, the guy couldn't find where the water leak was. It was still getting water in the truck.
The issue, Ford boss, that I had with finding mine is if I take it in, you have to take this truck apart in order to find this leak. And I feel like guys don't want to do that. Like, I looked everywhere, and until I took the wiper arms off of the truck and the covering, whatever, I don't know what you call that, where the vents are, that takes air in, the fresh air vent,
Yeah.
that plastic cover, I removed that. I mean, that's gonna, when you're looking at it, I mean, I checked everything. And to say, I got to put the time into it to pull all this off to even check this, it was the bottom of the windshield right in the middle.
No more
And
leak, though, have you?
So far, no.
I forgot about it.
So when you pour water on this truck, you don't get the leak. Like, you can pour water on it until tomorrow, you won't get the leak. You'll only get it if it rains and the vehicle's just totally covered in water. That's what made it so hard to find.
I don't know. To me, your situation is a little weird because you'd have to be going down the road with water going over the windshield in order for it to travel back up through a hole that's on a downward slope of where the windshield is. And it's in such a bad, weird area that leak to get that kind of water in your truck doesn't make sense to me. But again, I'm not the one working on it.
Well, I'm still watching it, but I wasn't even driving the truck when I really said, okay, something's got to be done. It filled with water just sitting in my backyard, and I just didn't drive it. For like a week, I didn't drive the truck. And I looked in it, totally full, like all the way full. And then it started knocking out. Now my amp's out. I got to figure out why. Something with the radio. There's just literally no audio now because everything got wet. So I got to figure out what's going on there. But I'm like, dang, I got to go to the dealer. Like, I'm a little nervous. Maybe I wanted to just take it to A-Rod, though. I know he'll fix it.
Edward asks a question. He says, my 17 won't start after new batteries and alternator. Worked 2 days. 4 days later, it died.
Died.
Give me some more info. Mike, Frank, what is good?
Dead batteries.
What's a good overall scanner code reader for multi-vehicles that can be used on gas, diesel applications, also force regens? Check out the playlist I have for scan tools. I have like 4 or 5 of them in there. Even Ford Boss, he's got a couple of goodies on his channel.
Forescan.
Regen.
See what he says about that. How many guys have had to have their so if you have the LED lights, how many guys have had to have their LED headlamps replaced? Not for a lighting concern, but the actual like finish on the outside of the light is kind of like peeling.
What about the
I had to do a module.
No module.
No, I had to do a module. It says check headlamp system, but both headlamps were working, but it was telling me I had a fault on the right one. And it was the headlamp module. It's weird. It would come on and go off, stay on, wouldn't come on. It was weird.
I just had a guy say that he had took a bunch of pictures of his truck. The headlights are fogging up real bad. Now I know Ford, some things they'll warranty, fogging, not so much, but if you have actual liquid water droplets in it, there's pictures, it's called a GSB, a General Service Bulletin, and information and pictures that we can reference when we get vehicles in with certain concerns, and they'll have figures that we can look at and compare, does this look like this customer's vehicle? Is it actually have liquid water droplets in the headlight where you can see it looks like it's raining inside the headlight housing? Well, then obviously it would be replacement. But even mine, I'm guilty of mine going through the car wash, or it's wet and I'm pulling it into the shop. Like the rounded edges on the inside of the lens will be a fogged up, just in the corners, not on all the corners, but just like on the inside corners of, by the grill or something, just where like maybe the temperature difference was on the plastic on the outside. So I don't know if necessarily that would be grounds for headlight replacement, but nonetheless, the finish on it comparing to the passenger side is like flaking off. It almost looks like shellac on a wood bench, how it's kind of flakes off after time. So I don't know, I'm gonna have to replace that. What did old Daddy say up here? Daddy says my drain holes on my wiper collar right below the wiper arm get clogged frequently. I'm always putting my finger in there and giving it a wiggle. Passenger side, what is directly underneath that? Or Beer Tech, he just had that today. We have the battery junction box. Man, it almost reminds me of the cowl for the
Why is this?
I'm gonna go get that circuit board right quick for that battery junction box.
the
So they can-
trans.
So they can
How's
see it.
that thing you were doing with that Ford Boss? You say you were making something?
I didn't follow through with it. I didn't keep going.
There.
I didn't keep going with it.
Oh, okay.
I stopped. I got busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not a good place to have moisture.
No, it's not, but I just looked at mine on my 15 F-150
Uh-huh.
and I noticed that there's water dripping on top of my box as well.
If anybody should have had an issue with that, it should have been me. I mean, all the environments that I've been through. I mean, I'm sure it's getting water on it. It's just never got around the top. It never got around the lid.
There you go. That's what it looks like. Obviously, it ain't got the fuses in it. But... Yeah, let me turn my background off. This one's toasted.
Moisture got to the top of it.
Oh, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Obviously, it ain't got the fuses in it, but so I got the back of it off.
Cool.
Ugh.
Uh,
The cover off on that?
Yeah, I had to take it out anyway to check it. So I took it apart.
Is that the top or the back?
This is where the fuses sit. It goes in. This would be the top. When you open the lid, the fuses go in here.
So it definitely got in from the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I got in from the top.
Nasty. I've had to replace a bunch of those. It's definitely an issue, and it sucks though because it's right underneath the cowl. As soon as you got ice melting, snow packed up in there, just like Daddy D's was saying, if that gets all clogged up with those helicopters or just dirt and debris just from being right there underneath the wiper cowl, it's just going to overflow. As soon as you open the hood, pay attention and you'll see the water just go woo.
And the
Right.
23s will be the same because the BJB is not moved either. It's in the same general vicinity.
The real scary part for guys like me and probably a lot of the viewers is when you get out of warranty. Let's say your truck, it survived the warranty period. Well, all of a sudden the battery junction box goes out and you got to pay out of pocket. That might hurt.
That was out of warranty.
Dude,
That
Oh, was it?
BJB is 190
Oh.
bucks.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's not too bad. But how hard is it to get in there?
Easy,
It's not too hard at all. I had it out.
Okay.
Well,
easy.
Was the Diag bad? I've taken one out before.
the Diag was actually a pain in the butt because it started out with the battery monitor, not the battery, the body control module, because the reverse lights were staying on. And then, 6 hours later, it leads to that.
So
Synchromatic, okay,
where he
but
lost
I
most of it is on his Diag, huh?
Yeah.
still sporting.
I don't know, Matthew Ernest, I've never heard of synchromatic oil for the transfer case. I know it just takes regular Mercon LV.
So when you open up the cover, the truck's all completely assembled and you open the cover, is there anything visible from the top side when you just look down at the fuses, or do you gotta take it apart?
You can see, look at like pull fuses, look at pins, look at empty spots where that doesn't have any fuses, and see if you see any corrosion or anything. If you see corrosion on the pins, then you're gonna have corrosion inside.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest thing is just looking for water trails. Usually there's like a little white trail on the box.
Those brand new Expeditions and Navigators that we was just doing the underhood fire recall on, where we were putting in the fan harness and stuff. Every single one of those fuse boxes I had to open up to splice in that new harness for the recall. Every one of them had water in the bottom of it. Every single one of, and I did by myself, I probably did about 13 or 14 of those, and every single one of them there's water in the bottom of the box.
I got lucky. I didn't have any water in them on the Expeditions. That one was out of a F-150, a 21.
That's why I want to follow through with that thing that I said, where I cut that template and I made some people may not know, but I made a cardboard template that goes over the top of your fuse box on your Super Duties, your F-150s, Expeditions, Navigators, and it stays with the factory collar lining in the plastic, and it goes way over the fuse box, and I cut it to where it would round off over to the 8mm fender bolt, and I could put a tab right there with a funnel to route that water away from that whole entire area and have it drop right down on top of the fender liner. It's just a quick bolt in, quick clip, snap it in. Anytime you need to get in there, you can just pull it out quick and get it out of your way, and it'll keep that water away from the fuse box.
It's a big issue, especially even on the transits. How many times have we got ones in and the air filter is completely soaked?
Soak
Or
it
even
wet.
worse, them freaking coil bolt holes completely filled up with water. Got to pry the intake off, break it. Man, what a pain in the ass, dude.
Yep.
Yes, this is the third week in a row sporting an SS Diesel shirt, different color. Yes,
Looks good. Looks
absolutely.
good looking shirt.
Same shirt. He hasn't taken it off.
Yeah. Definitely excited for the DCR. It's something that I think you guys, I did not.
Crouster's got a flathead going. 660. I want to see an 880. Big old.
They only go to 770,
Is that the biggest they go? 770?
70 gauge, yep.
Yeah, the thing's got a brat in your mouth.
He likes the brats.
No comment.
So I
Where is-
got for the guys that have been waiting, I got most of the diesel oil sent off: T4, T5, T6, 1540, 540, the Lucas Pure Synthetic, the Lucas regular oil stabilizer, Wolfhead 1540, Pen Grade 1540. What else am I missing? Kraus
FPP.
FPP 1540 synthetic blend for the diesels. There's sent off 11 different types of samples and oils and grades to get tested. So we should have those back in a few weeks. I didn't get AMS oil out, the 1540 diesel stuff for the 540 from them. And I didn't get mobile Delvac or something. I just don't have it right now.
I did Hot Shot Secrets. If you want the report, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Virgin oil.
Virgin, yeah. Yeah, send it to me, please.
I did AMS oil too. I did Hot Shot Secrets and AMS oil.
Yeah, send it to me, please.
So that
1540
way
or
you,
540.
Oh, I thought Sean.
I think it was either 540 or 040, one of the two.
Okay.
That way
what's
you
up,
won't have
Eric?
to do those two.
What's up,
Heck no.
Eric?
Mr. Continuity.
I'm changing that right now. That was last week. Oh, come on, man. What the hell?
I do cars guy.
Man, Eric got here and it got all quiet.
Oh, what the hell? What were you guys talking about, huh?
Just nothing.
What I miss?
We're talking about oil. We're talking and answering questions at the same time.
Yeah.
So
You guys making fun of the oil I used in my last video?
no, what was that?
The Napa synthetic blend.
As long as
That's
it's
not
not
bad.
mobile.
I don't use mobile oil if I can avoid it.
No, that's Valvoline.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's Valvoline.
I figured you'd be the guy to
Yeah.
know.
I know you know, man.
So I had an interesting question from a subscriber, and I actually seen it in my own oil testing results. And when you take an additive and you dump it in an oil, some guys are saying if it's an oil additive and I dump it in the oil and I send it off for testing, why do some of my numbers change a little bit? Why does my sus viscosity, my CST viscosity? If you guys don't know what that is, every oil is graded at a certain weight and it has to pass through a restriction device. And they measure the measurement through a specific, like it'll say CST viscosity, sus viscosity at this temperature, and it'll give you a readout.
Cinestokes.
It will have a restriction device that it has to pass through. And a lot of guys are saying, why, when I put the additive in here, does that decrease below what the range is for that 15W40, 5W40? Or why do I see my moly drop or my phosphorus increase? And some of you need to realize that the additives that you're using are additives in themselves. They are chemicals that are added to the oil. It's not motor oil. And a lot of people are getting confused with that. And they're thinking additives should always increase the numbers in the oil that you're testing. And that is not true. These chemicals can be added to the oil to enhance the oil, but it may lower the flash point and it may lower the viscosity at which it's tested. So a lot of people have to get their mindset off of, oh, I'm putting this additive in here. My moly's going to go through the roof. My phosphorus and zinc and stuff is going to go through the roof. That's not how it works. It's an enhancement to the oil that you're actually using. So if it's got a PAO base to it, like Marvel Mystery Oil Synthetic is a PAO base, it's going to make the oil actually move a little finer and a little cleaner. And it's going to have a better cold start flow. So your pore depressant and stuff may go down as well. So understanding what you're putting in the oil and how you're testing it is critical before somebody becomes critical of what they're reading, saying, oh, this doesn't work, it's making my oil worse. That's not the case. It's probably making it better and you just don't realize it because you don't understand how it actually works. I'm off my high horse.
650, 750. What oil goes in the front wheel bearing hubs?
Oh,
I didn't know this because I don't usually have to fill those up. And I was asked that question today and I had to look it up and I was like, well, I didn't know. Cody, do you know?
is it 75, 85?
Wouldn't it be like gear oil, 75,
Yeah.
85 gear oil or something like
75.
that?
So you can do 75, 90 or 75, 140.
So they you on the big trucks.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that there was oil in there?
I knew there was oil in it, but I didn't know it was gear oil. I thought it was a special
Gear oil.
lubricant or something. I guess I didn't know that.
Did you jack it up when you did it?
No, I was a customer. A guy from Parts was calling. A customer needed to get fluid, and
Yeah, because the
If any of you guys have IDS or FDRS problems with 650, 750, contact hotline.
oof, that's not good.
dude, I saw how many scan tool and module programming contacts you guys get, and I'm just never gonna do it ever again. I feel bad for you guys.
They're trying to fix the 650, 750 stuff.
With
Like the dosing test not working and all those tests that don't work or the PIDs that don't work. We're trying to fix them.
Yeah,
for
programming
IDS?
keys, everything.
Another thing that's going on right now that a lot of people aren't aware of, and a lot of the people here that follow us aren't aware of, is Ford on the corporate side is going through a lot of big changes. And we just had an engineer come to our dealership and say, I'm having to say goodbye to you guys. I won't be your FSE for this area anymore, so I won't be able to help you with a lot of the things that I've been able to help you with lately. They are taking 2 of the stores away from me and trying to help with some of the stress, because a lot of the hotline help has went away and now it's more in the field FSE work. And it's just overwhelming me right now. So they're taking this store and another store and they're putting it on another FSE. So you will no longer get a lot of the help that you're getting from corporate hotline anymore. And they're really starting to push it into effect as of like a couple weeks ago, that they're really driving it. And so we already knew it was happening, but he actually came in and physically told us, hey, I got to say goodbye to you guys, because it's now like in effect that most of the work at the dealerships are going to come from somebody like me and not so much online help anymore. And he said, unfortunately, it is the way it is. They're just trying to move people around to different positions. So it could take longer for us to help you and get out here to actually look at the vehicles with you, because we just don't have the manpower to take care of that as fast as when we had online hotline help. So be patient when you drop your vehicle off. It may take longer than what you would expect, just because things are getting changed around.
You know, I feel bad for the dudes who, on every car that they get, they have to contact the hotline.
It's ridiculous, because the engineer
They
brought
shouldn't be
that
contacting hotline. They should be contacting their
FSE.
master tech or their
Foreman or something.
foreman, because that's the biggest reason why they're getting rid of it, is because
It's
we
abused.
are their crutch, and they don't want it to be the crutch.
We used to have a guy in the dealership that would come in, as soon as he would get a car, he would go walk around to all the other techs in the shop. You ever seen this? You ever seen this? You ever seen this? Before he would even look at
Really?
these
Oh my
SSMs.
God.
And then he wouldn't even check the previous hotline reports, like your help section, to see what's been reported and talked about and solved. He would just go right and create a case. And we'd be like, dude, that's one of the reasons why they're stopping this stuff, is because you abuse that. You automatically go ask somebody how to fix the vehicle instead of doing your job. That's why you have a foreman or senior techs in the shop that can come help with that stuff. They said in our district, we are the standard, because in 1 year, we've only contacted hotline about 20 to 25 times. There are other dealerships out there that have contacted 250 times plus.
Jeez, that's
And he said,
embarrassing.
can you imagine one FSE with 13 to 15 stores, between 150 to 250 claims per year? We're never going to get out to you guys to help you in a timely manner, and the customers are going to be livid.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about. What Ford Boss is talking about. We have all of us Ford techs and all of the 3,800 Ford dealers across the United States. We have the ability to reach out via the web to the mothership, and we can input all of the data, the VIN, the mileage, the customer concern. You know, there's stuff on their end that they see, bill date, everything. And there's a large database that they can look through, and we look to them for assistance and the next diag step and so on. So like Ford Boss is saying, they're doing such a restructuring. You know, we're kind of, in a sense, losing this avenue that we had of
Only
help.
for the US though, not Canada. Canada's staying the same.
It's only supposed to be used when you exhaust all your options, and then the master and the senior master and the foreman have exhausted all options as
Yeah.
well. But people are abusing it, like Rich said.
Any
Yeah.
knowns?
Yeah,
Oh, no one says that.
come on.
Yeah,
No
they
one
do.
says
We
So-
don't.
I'm following protocol.
We tried it. We'll almost die on a vehicle before we ask for help at our dealership, because most of the time, the guys that are involved in this stuff in the dealership where I work, they've already died so many times trying to find the problem. They know what the problem is, or they know about where to go with it. And I've figured out the majority of every single hotline case that I've submitted for help. I've already figured out by the time they either get back to me or I just tell them, look, what you told me didn't work. That wasn't even it took me off in the wrong area. This is what I needed to do. This is how I found the problem. So
Yep.
we just got to a point where we don't really try to ask for help that much. If I can't talk to one of the other techs in the shop or call Cody or Aaron or, one of us on here that work on this stuff every day, typically just by brainstorming amongst us, we find the problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it helps, you'll be so involved and deep within the repair that we're doing and, thinking and doing this and checking this and this and this. We'll get so, not focused, all it takes is, Eric to come over and be like, hey, dude, fucking, did you think about, did you do this? Like, oh man, I didn't think about this. Or, just have to have, another set of eyes on it, is what they say.
Get tunnel vision, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times me and Aaron or me and Cody or one of us have all called each other and talked about something like, oh, no.
We do have an AI.
Thanks for bringing that up, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go try that right now. I'm like, yep, that was it. Or Aaron will be on the phone with me and I'm stumped on something, and I'm not gonna go jump on hotline and blow them up right away. Their job is already being overwhelmed as it is. And Aaron, so let me talk to you real quick. Just help me make sense of this. Let me reset my mind, because I've got this tunnel vision and I'm starting to get overwhelmed with my own thoughts right now. And I just need somebody else to be like, hey, stop. Think about this. Oh, that's it.
We'll get it so hard sometimes. Like we'll be at the truck or at the vehicle going ham for 2 hours nonstop. We haven't walked away. We haven't done nothing. We're, going through the pinpoint test and, trying to think outside the box and doing something that the pinpoint test isn't saying, to try to connect the dots. And it's like, sometimes you get so involved. It's like, dude, man, hold on. I'm calling timeout myself. I gotta walk away. I mean, it's
Start to get hangry when
Oh
you get
my
hungry.
goodness.
Oh,
dude. It's not
like
not
with that
just-
module today, it was the reverse lights. Like I told you, they were stuck on. And when I pulled the F1 fuse 1, the lights were still on, but the left front headlight came on. And it all narrowed down to that, but we'd spent all day on it, right? We even pulled a brand new truck off the lot just to kind of match, like, okay, is the light supposed to come on? We're comparing everything.
Jeez Louise. That's the worst. That's the worst. Electrical stuff is the worst. I like electrical, and I usually am pretty good about finding the chafe spot or the problem area, and I want to fix it. I found you bastard. But I mean,
If it ever happens again, then I'm going to go directly to that BJB to check it first.
And you'll know.
I don't know.
Or what's the worst? You'll get a truck towed in, no crank, no start. I'm like, ooh, I hope it's dead. I hope it's dead. I hope it's dead. I hope it's dead. Nope, full electrical power, hit the key fob. Dang it. Go to crank it, nothing. No Prindle, nothing. Communication faults. Communication codes suck. What's wrong? You either got power ground down on a network, twisted pairs shorted to ground. What else? You name it. Just communication problems can straight suck.
One module taking down the whole network, and then you're going to have to put a $400, $500 module in something that's the one me and you just looked at, where you were like, hey, wait a second, go plug that HVAC controller back in. And I plug it in and then turn the key on. And now all of a sudden the freaking running lights turns off like it's supposed to. And then I cycle the key back on again, and now they won't turn off anymore.
Did you look at the BJB in that one?
Huh?
Did you look at the body control module in that one?
Yeah. No water, no nothing. The harness was nasty, like one of the nastiest ones I've seen. But none of the wires were broken. I cleaned all the wires off, got all the salt out of the channels. It still wouldn't change anything. And
Here's another thing that threw me for a loop. On 2021, it's not called a BJB anymore. I'm so used to calling it that. It's actually BCMC.
Oh, really?
Battery control module.
RH asks, if I'm having the dealership fix a coolant crossover leak, Can I ask them and pay them to remove and replace my lower EGR bolts while everything is removed? So I don't have to deal with doing it. Ha ha ha. Would they even do that? Well, first off, I'm thinking the EGR pipe bolts to the manifold.
But the ones that are in the manifold, so like,
The crossover tube doesn't
it doesn't
interfere.
go, doesn't go near there. I mean,
I mean, it's near there, but you don't have to take
you don't
it
have
off.
to take it off.
No.
I guess my question is, why do you want those bolts out? I mean, any
Sure.
shenanigans, no one's gonna touch nowadays. But yeah, if you want me to like take those bolts out and they snap and you want me to drill them out and put inserts in, sure. I mean, I'm not, I know what you're gonna do and I know why you want me to do it,
And
but
it's funny though, like you'll get trucks like that. You're like, oh, you're biting your nails. Oh, is this gonna come out? And then you get the trucks that's got 180,000 on it. You wouldn't think these things would come out. You rip them out, they come right out. Zing, zing. Wow.
Yeah.
600,000, 2,000.
Why couldn't I get this with its
Yeah.
customer pay instead of
Well,
warranty?
you know what I'm saying? Oh. But we've been doing the EGR coolers successfully not taking the pipe off. And we've
Yeah.
been just sliding them off the valve cover.
You know what?
I personally have taken the battery box off and just slid it right off the valve cover and then taken, just left the pipe on and taken the cooler off that way. So I'm not, I mean, I'll drill it out, but I really don't want to.
You're sliding it
Yeah, so if you take,
PCM out,
you don't have to, but it's more room. And
heater
then,
goes off,
yeah, and then you just slide the cooler
battery box out.
down towards the fuel injector, so you get around the boss of the intake, and then it come right up.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, I'm not taking the pipe off no more.
Put a
It
little
is-
catch can, you'll take
Oh,
a bath.
I don't do it either. It's actually convenient to do it that way because of the room that you have. It's
Yeah.
it's
You
like
get cooling
once
all
you
over
do
your
it-
legs still?
I mean, I put rags and stuff down or like a drain pan as I'm lifting it off the engine.
Okay.
It works well.
Slide it to the trash.
I might have to try that.
What did you guys think about the Gale Banks little skit interview video? And he was talking about the S&B. I got, not to say tagged, but I got emailed like, hey, did you see this? I didn't. This was the first one. I was like, oh wow. Oh wow. And then I kept getting emails and it was kind of funny.
Are you referring to Gail's roast?
Yeah. Of it.
So the thing with Gail is the dude is like, when it comes to knowledge, he's just, I don't know. I love Gail. That dude's a national treasure to the diesel world. So it's kind of hard to argue with the guy. I don't know.
He's
You're
smart,
calling it
man.
Hot engine air, that's not really a cold air intake.
He's
That's what
for
it
that
comes down
guy
to.
who are.
Yeah.
That's probably 90% of the cold air intakes that they claim. It's all hot engine air. It's not cold. It's not a cold air intake.
Hot air in.
I mean, the stock ones those are pretty good air boxes.
Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time. Exactly what you just said. The stock intake is more of a cold air intake than any of these aftermarket ones. A lot of times, I mean, they're not very good.
The
Oh,
way I look at those is if there was something to be gained by putting something like that in your vehicle, the OEs would have done it. They would have put it in there. If they left something on the table as simple as redesigning an airbox or an intake, that's what they would have done.
And a lot of these guys will put them on there and they don't understand. Like when we were going through, like when I was at UTI, we were going through the performance class. You have the class you learn, and then the class you actually go out to the vehicle and put like superchargers on, turbos on, all these. And then each time you do something, you go down to the dyno cell and you see what has changed. So our vehicle was like an 11 SS Camaro with like a 6.2 or something like that. It was one of those years. And we started with a cold air intake at first. And it was like the K&N full blown, like $700 cold air intake. and we gained like 3 horsepower and 2 foot-pounds of torque with this thing. And I was like, is this placebo? Is this the fact? Is it the fact that we started it up, we ran it for a while, and was it hot? Was it too hot when we ran it the first time? All those things can affect that. So we don't really know that we gained what we thought we gained, because it could have been the engine was cooler the first time versus the second time when you see such low numbers like that. And then we put like a $1,400 exhaust system on the car and put the rest back to stock. It just did exhaust only, gained nothing on that. And then we put like a throttle body spacer on it that would like twist the air going into the intake. And we gained more off of that throttle body spacer, creating that turbulence to help mix up some. The theory is to mix up the fuel and air. We gained like 8 horsepower and something like 7 or 8 foot-pounds of torque. But unless you did everything together, you never really seen the numbers gains that these companies would claim. So you needed like the cold air intake, the throttle body spacer, the headers, the full exhaust and stuff. And now you're seeing whatever you're taking in more and you're able to put out more. Now you're seeing better numbers. But just one individual thing by itself, unless you're doing it all, it didn't really work well until it was all together. So these guys that put a cold air intake on and think they're going to get all this crazy power, all you're getting is a bunch of sound. That's it.
Yeah,
It just sounds cool.
Mhm.
it does sound cool. I mean,
I guess something a lot of people don't realize with your cold air intake is they're doing bench testing of just a filter and they're saying, look at how much more this flows. Well, yeah, it's gonna flow more. I mean, if you look at the filter media, and you have a way bigger opening, sure, is your engine actually pumping that much air? No. Will it ever pump that much air? No. So really you're doing yourself a disservice by not having as good filtering. And you're never gonna flow that much air. So
For boss, I'm sure you can chime into this. New York sucks. He has a statement, a question. What is the difference to you guys, whether it's warranty or customer pay?
The
1.5
difference,
times,
huh?
1.5 times. Hour wise.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's about 1.5 times. So here's where we're at with this. The state of Illinois came out with a new law that protects technicians from the manufacturers on us getting shorted with warranty times. And they said about what it factors out to be. Could be a little more, it could be a little less, but right at about 1.5 times what the actual labor, the stated labor time is about what the customer's paying for that same repair. So if I'm doing a 1.5 liter short block and warranty's only paying 20 hours for it, it's typically about 28 to 30 hours on the customer side for them to get charged that same thing. I think All Data has like 27.9 hours on the customer side, yet Ford only wants to pay like 19.5 to 20, somewhere in there. And that's with setting your toe if you need to and stuff like that, or else they'll try to short you. So that's about what the legislature here came up with. It's 1.5 times the labor rate to kind of wash it to equal what customer pay would be. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's dead on, but that's what it comes out to, about 1.5 times.
I'll go into
It's
SLTS, look at the labor.
dead nuts.
I'll go to SLTS, look at the labor for what it's supposed to be for warranty if this is customer pay, and then I'll multiply it by 1.5 for my customer pay. And then I'll compare that to All Data.
Yeah,
It's pretty close.
Yeah,
it's close.
absolutely.
dude, that's where we get lucky though. Because a lot of your heavy truck stuff, there's not a labor out for it. So you're just clocking straight on time.
Yeah.
So whatever I say it takes is whatever I get paid. Warranty jobs.
That VOR labor is where it's at though.
VOR
then-
labor.
Yes.
Then you have the ones where it's like, cannot use this op code with this op code. You know what I mean? Can't be combined. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Some of
That's
those
where they get you on
overlap.
that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's, as long as you document it, you can, I don't want to say abuse labor ops, but dude, my story starts with positioned vehicle on hoist. Because that pays like 0.2. I'm grabbing every single pence that I can.
that's what it's there for. You got to use it.
Post vehicle road test.
Yeah.
Pulled vehicle into bay, positioned on hoist.
Mileage in, mileage out. That's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing that guys forget to do, some guys do anyway, and I try to keep on them at the shop about it, is, you know how those new cop explorers and stuff like the 20 to go where the CV axles are splitting and stuff like that, hub actuators are leaking. That's a mess that you have to clean up. If it's slinging eccentric fluid, CV axle fluid all over the wheel well, all over the back of the rim, all over like the knuckle assembly and stuff like that, it's all underneath the vehicle. I'm not going to give that to a wash bay guy down there to clean off. I'm cleaning that off right there in my stall, and whatever time it takes me to get all that stuff cleaned off, I'm getting paid for it. That's not part of the labor op for them to factor in what it takes for you to get that customer's vehicle cleaned back up and to get all that crap off of there. I'm going to sit there and hose the hell out of it with brake clean and everything else, and I'm charging them for it. I claim an X on the bottom of that. I put on their brake clean mafia 0.5 right there, baby. I mean, I'm getting paid to do it. I'm not going to sit there and keep doing things that, they don't factor in, and they pay it. They don't fight you. They willingly pay it.
One of the other things too, I think that kind of gets slipped in that we just do because it's part of the repair, but it's another thing we have to do that we don't get compensated for, is when we do a battery, or it may say in the workshop manual for the battery, I'm using it as an example, battery, we do spark plugs, or we do a timing chain, or we do a new valve body or fuel injector. We have to program all these things into the truck. The valve body, you guys saw us do the video where we had to program the shift solenoid strategy. We have to do the crank position correlation correction procedure. And in the shop manual, it says after we do the repair to do the necessary resets, or if we replace a turbo or the fuel injectors to clear the table of the strategies, their labor op pays to replace the fuel injector. It doesn't say anything about hooking up the computer in the labor op and doing all of these resets and doing I just got deducted for, and it was legitimate. And it wasn't the fact that I was losing money. I wanted to be told why I wasn't going to get paid to do this drive cycle for this truck that needed catalytic converters. In order for me to do my post-repair road test, I have to do another drive cycle to see if the CAT evaluation monitor checked in. Well, how else am I to do that if I don't go on a road test? Well, I got deducted because I already took PID monitor road test for the first time. You can't take that again twice on the same line.
That's part of
So
the process.
well, you know what? It comes down to not repairing the vehicle the right way and ensuring that the customer's expectations were met. It comes down to a numbers game, and this claim is going to be too high because
How much can I get you to do for less?
you took too much M time, or
How much is it going to cost when they get repeat customers, because guys just don't do it anymore? At some point, and there's plenty of people in the population out there that if they're not getting paid to perform that function, they'll just stop doing it and park the car and say, yep, I did my job, here's your labor op.
Then it'll go into
I know you're not like that, and most of us wouldn't do such a thing, but we all know that kind of stuff happens.
it'll go
I-
into repeat repairs.
you're exactly
Yeah.
right. And I couldn't do that because that's not right. I couldn't work for you anymore.
I'm not going to do that to my customer.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, yeah, I'm not saying you guys would, but there
I
are
know.
people
Oh,
that.
no,
that do
yeah.
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
Well, here's your scenario right here. There was just a big fiasco that kind of went off on TikTok where a service he was a service tech, and then he became a service advisor, and now he's advising. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy, but I kind of called him on this because I don't know if you forgot how it works as a tech, but I think you're wrong in this situation, and here's why. And that he's actually helping instruct and create educational programs for dealerships and independent shops on how things ideally should go. And he said, here's your scenario. The customer comes in with water in the floor. the vehicle needs to go to the tech to diagnose why there's water in the floor. The tech identifies why there's water in the floor and says this is going to be the repair. But we need to do a carpet pull to dry up the water so the carpet and stuff doesn't get moldy and stuff. We need to get all that out of there.
Sounds right, right?
Sounds right. Sounds
Mhm.
ideal.
Right?
The customer came back and said, no, I don't want to pay for that carpet pull. So the tech says, fine, I'm going to fix the vehicle. He fixes the vehicle. No more water leak. Puts the vehicle back outside, takes the keys to the service advisor and says, I'm done. There's your keys. Well, the service advisor calls the customer and says the vehicle's done. Customer shows up to the dealership and says, why is there still water in my floor? Well, because you didn't want to pay for the carpet to be pulled and everything to be dried out. And now the service advisor is on the hook because he says, why did the tech tell me the vehicle was done if the water was still in the floor? Couldn't the tech have at least taken a vacuum and did all this stuff and got all the water and everything out of it? No. The reason why, you declined, you didn't want to pay. The service advisor should have went back and said, hey, grab a porter or somebody like that, have them go down there and vacuum everything out. That was not the tech's responsibility. He tried to get it covered so he could do it thoroughly himself and clean that water out of the floor. The customer declined that. His job was to fix the repair. He fixed the repair. The service advisor didn't go back out there and make sure that he grabbed one of the porters to say, can you vacuum out as much of this water as you can? You got to spend a lot of time doing it, but just get the majority of it out of there. The customer doesn't want to pay for it, yada, yada, yada. Now, I came back and said, you're wrong for being mad at the tech for that. The tech's job is to be on that floor making the company money. And if he's doing stuff he's not getting paid for, he's not making himself money and he's not making the company money. So
That's right.
you set yourself up for failure. That was not the tech that set you up for failure. Well, he didn't like my response to that.
My dad had the same situation with rodent infestation in a blower motor, where they wanted it cleaned out, but they wanted the smell gone, but they didn't want to pay for the whole dash to be pulled out and everything to be wiped down because obviously it was full of mouse stuff. So
Yeah.
clean the blower out, verified everything was good, put it back together, and said, "All right, well, you're not paying me to tear the dash out. I'm not going to tear the dash out of this car. Here you go."
See ya.
Yeah.
But poor boss, in your situation, or just not your situation, but the one you're describing, why was the truck full of water? Was this a warranty issue or
It was a
was
warranty issue.
so when there's a warranty issue?
No. Let me take that back. It was a customer pay issue.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why-
So the
that's
whole
why
job was customer pay.
So you confused me when you said that because it's a customer pay deal. And the customer declined the extra money for pulling the carpet. Leave it at
Okay.
that. Leave it at that. It's a
I
customer
think
pay
DS
deal.
is confusing himself.
Yeah.
No, I'm
he
wondering
confused-
if this was a warranty type of thing, because if it was warranty,
Okay.
all that would be covered.
Well, it would, but don't even take it to that scenario because that's not even where we're going. I was pretty clean cut and dry when I said they approached the customer to see if the customer wanted the carpet pulled to get the water out of there. The customer declined. Now, take it at face value what it is right there. Don't even think about warranty. The customer declined. The tech repaired the water leak. No more water coming in the vehicle, but the customer did not want to pay for the water to be pulled up.
All right, here is bearded Ford Tech. I said it backwards. Humongous. I have an 08 F-250 6.4. I'm so sorry, my friend. My shift selector light started blinking. My truck started shifting different. So I pulled over and shut it off. Now the selector light won't come on and the truck won't turn over. Buddy, what I want you to do is I want you to go over underneath your driver's seat, underneath the truck. On the outside of the frame rail, there's a little silver box. That would be your trans control module. And on the side of that trans control module, there's a harness. You're going to follow that harness back to the frame about 8 inches. And you're going to see 2 ground cables come off with a big 13 milli bolt going through the eyelets into the frame. I've had those corrode off. And if the trans control module loses ground, guess what? It ain't going to tell you what gear it's in because then it's not going to start because it won't tell it's in neutral or park. So the fact that it was the fact that it was flickering leads me to believe that
Background.
you might have
Background.
one of these things going on, and now it's not doing anything.
You ever get the harness rub through on the trans too?
No,
I've had that, check the harness right next to the trans, might have a wire going like that. Oh, she.
Or the grounds that are bolted to the kick panel area behind the plastic that rot out in the bottom corners. The one ground on the passenger side that where the bottom of the metal behind the plastic rots out, and then the ground just falls off and it's just sitting there and it's not connected anymore.
oh yeah.
And that's behind the plastic. I know the one I seen was behind the plastic on the passenger side, where your right foot would fit if you were a passenger, back behind that. But hell, that's been a Ford issue for years, even beyond the 6.4. That's always been an issue in those areas.
Are you just talking about like rocks and dirt and stuff getting into the underneath the kick plates? Just
Yep.
electrical stuff all the time. That's where I go digging.
Let's take a gander here. Let's take a gander.
Gander. What are we gandering at?
Well, I wanted to talk about or bring up the KC Turbo for 6.7s, but one of the other things I wanted to briefly talk about was the 4x4 noise on these Super Duties, and I want to see if you guys can hear this. If you didn't, check it out.
350, and the customer's complaint is he's hearing this squeaking noise. Just in case you guys wondered what it looked like while everything was spinning. Don't usually get to see everything like this. 8-foot bed, 6.7, only got about 17,000 miles on it. And first step of the diagnostic process is to verify the customer concern, and I think I did. It's funny, I get asked a lot about certain things on the channel, and whether it's email.
Why would a dealership tell a customer that that's normal?
Yeah, that's not normal.
Dude buys $100,000 truck, platinum, and comes in and makes this noise, and the dealer tells him that it's normal, keep driving, it's going to go away. So I've been getting messages on Facebook. I had gotten a couple of emails and maybe some comments through Daddy Diesel, you're killing me. Some comments, and they're talking about this noise in 4x4. I'm like, I don't know, I've never heard it. I don't know what you're talking about. And I get one. Pretty weird what I found. It needs a hub seal, but when I took the wheel bearing hub assembly out of the knuckle, what I found looked like pencil erasing shavings, but it was the rubber material from the hub seal.
Yeah.
Totally deteriorated. And once I got it off the axle shaft, I tried not to destroy it. It was completely flopping around. You know how it's real firm?
Yeah.
Like that. This one was just.
Did it spin in the wheel hub?
Yeah, it was spinning.
Like the whole thing was spinning inside the wheel hub.
In
like where the seal's pressed in, it was just loose inside there.
Correct. It was like it was separated from itself, like it was two pieces instead of one.
So the axle shaft was spinning inside the outer seal.
But it was still going into 4x4. So it was really weird how it failed. And when I took it out, no bullshit, the whole bottom cavity of the vacuum chamber was all covered in rubber,
Just like rubber dust.
pencil shavings. is what
Yeah.
I'm describing it as.
But it's not
That
like
makes
the
sense.
outer part of the seal was spinning in the hub,
No,
because I had one do that.
it
That was weird.
it's you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's really weird. You know, I hate to say the COVID word, but everything has been just made in this junk. Like for real. I've had a customer has a 4.6 2-valve Econoline, and he's gone through 7 coils in the last 2 months. And I asked him, I said, what coils are you buying? He's like, I'm only buying the Motorcraft coils. He goes, if it's not this one, it's this one. And then the other one goes bad. And then I go back for 3 weeks, and then this other one goes bad. I'm like, man, what is going on? Mirror motors, batteries,
Injectors.
injectors. I don't know what is going on, but it's like I think when people, you know, we have these Ford trucks, people think every part on this truck Ford makes. And Ford doesn't make every single part. And I think we take that for granted. I think I take that for granted too, but like everybody's making podunk stuff. Wheel speed sensor 2020 Transit, granted this had a lot of miles on it. 2020 had 107,000 on it. We replaced the wheel speed sensor in October. I had to replace it again today. Totally dead, not reading at all. What? Really?
Junk.
Really?
Yep.
So do you buy OEM? Do you buy aftermarket? Do you buy a higher level aftermarket, a higher tier aftermarket part, whether it's performance or a better quality component?
I think it depends on the warranty. How's the
True.
warranty on the parts?
True. How many of you guys are actually using Ford's SPW? We have 2-year unlimited mileage warranty. That's what covered this wheel speed sensor. That was SPW. Over the counter, guys replacing his ignition coils that he kept buying and kept going through.
I wonder if parts are being sabotaged by the Chinese.
Hmm.
Probably not getting sabotaged by the Chinese, because then they just have to pay to replace the same parts. So manufacturing standpoint, probably not.
QC has gone definitely in the doo-doo.
Mhm.
You know, go ahead.
I've seen it on the small parts too. I buy a lot of bulbs and LEDs and stepper motors and encoders, all that stuff to rebuild clusters, climate controls, computers. And we get bad stuff right out of the box. It used to be like 3%, and I'm not buying like the cheapest stuff. I try to buy the best stuff because we usually have a pretty good warranty on our parts. And this stuff's just junk right out of the box. I mean, the amount, like, it's probably 3 times worse than it was 4 years ago.
I agree.
Mhm.
Do you think a lot of that has come from more manufacturers being introduced into that market because they're seeing how competitive it is now? So
No, I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's that it's haste. It's, you know, they've realized that if they cram 50% more through the product, the production line, even if it increases their bad parts by 10%, it's still a net win. And I think that's just the way they're looking at it. It's a strictly numbers game. It's just, if we can cram more through it or cut cost here, they've weighed both options, and making a better part is not the most profitable.
No, but I'll take the butcher's word for it.
And there's been like procedures that have like changed early on. Like when I did my first transfer case for an Explorer, the front seal to the output shaft going to the front wheels, or the front four-wheel drive, whenever one of the front seals would leak, you have to put a whole transfer case in it. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the hell can't I just service this one seal? The seal's only got to be $3 or $4. Why can I not just service this? Why are you telling me there's no call out available and I can't order this one seal? So I'm putting transfer case in. another vehicle, 15,000 miles on it, another transfer case, another vehicle, 20,000 miles, another transfer case. I'm like, what's going on with these freaking transfer cases and these Explorers? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 6 months ago or something like that, they come out with a TSB that says, oh, guess what? The seal is serviceable now. It was serviceable before. They didn't have the parts for it. They didn't have the seal for it. So they rather you put a $1,400 transfer case in this thing instead of getting a $3 seal to send to us that you'd pay $10 for and service this thing in the vehicle and replace it right there. Instead, it was $1,400, $1,200, whatever. It's like this stuff doesn't make any freaking sense, man.
Same with the 3-liter diesels, no oil pressure after an oil change. It's the little rubber valve in the bottom. And they didn't have a replacement part. So you had to do a whole oil cooler assembly. Well, now they have the replacement parts finally. But they're on back order like everything else. So we're still doing an oil filter assembly.
The hub actuator seals on the Explorers. They give you a new one. They don't update the part number or anything like that. It flattens out 10,000 miles later. It's leaking again. You're putting a new seal on it, new seal on it, new seal on it, new seal on it. It's costing thousands of dollars to do this stuff. And then out of nowhere, it would have been simple. I mean, I don't know if it would have been simple or not. They could have used the same mold that they made the first seal out of, upgraded the material, and maybe changed the process just a little bit and saved a ton of money. And now we got a blue seal that shows up out of nowhere. After all these years since this thing's been out, now we got a new updated blue seal. How much money has been thrown out for just simple fixes that we never even had the option for, just because they didn't have a seal, they didn't have an O-ring. There's been a lot of weird stuff going on over the last few years that just make no sense.
But the funny thing is, they want to save money.
Yeah.
But yet we're wasting money. Like I just got harped on today because instead of me saying I replaced the downpipe because the downpipe's $550. The gasket, if I could just get the gasket, replace the gasket, would be a $2 freaking gasket. So why not make the gasket separate from the pipe so the dumb mechanic who doesn't want the pipe to leak can just replace the gasket and not the pipe? So I put down, because my fault, there's 30 parts on this RO, and I didn't put down replace the turbo, replace the nuts, replace the gasket, replace this, 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 replace this. Following the workshop manual procedure, I reassembled the vehicle. In the workshop manual procedure, it says clean all the exhaust connections. Well, when I clean the exhaust connection, the gasket for the downpipe is like that metal, aluminum, nickel, floppy, just I can't reuse that. Well, I mean, come on, you want to save money? Stop doing stupid stuff like that and make the stuff serviceable, because there's no need for me to replace this downpipe for a $2 gasket. There goes your numbers. You got a number game. There goes your numbers.
That's not even on the one-time parts use list, is it? It's part of the, but you said it's part of the whole pipe.
It's just a reactive environment and not a proactive environment. That's all it is. They're just like, well, we don't know how long these are going to be bad for, or how long we have to do this.
Really gentle. I try to be as gentle as I can when I pull them off.
Yeah, but then you look at the reports and stuff where it says Ford is the worst out of the big three for the loss, a warranty loss in 2022, and they're showing a massive amount of loss. But when I talk to people, I try to teach them it's about what they see up front, and then they try to play catch up later, and they don't look at the numbers up front. It's about what can I gain now and not what I'm going to lose after everything's been said and done. Because we're already on to another product, another vehicle, new manufacturing. We're going on, but there's a huge loss there. And it was like in one of the recent articles I was reading that they've lost so much, like $1.something billion instead of gaining or making. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? How is this even okay for this to happen in a company? I would be livid.
Unreal.
Seen the new recall? Go ahead.
Honestly, there's this stuff happened in the 80s and 90s. It's just you'd think we'd get better. That's all. You know, I remember in the 80s and 90s stuff going wrong with talking to my dad, his retired Mazda tech, and you couldn't buy the boost control solenoid for an MX6 or Probe or 626, you had to buy the whole turbo. What?
Why?
It's 2 bolts and a few lines.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? But that's how it was up until probably 5 years after production ended.
You know, we all make the mistake of thinking these guys are dumb, you know, and they know that a solenoid built into a turbo is probably going to fail before the turbo does. They know that. And we're all going, you guys are idiots. I can't believe they build it like this. They build this stuff for a reason. We all just don't know what the reason is. There is a reason. We
I
just
think a
don't
lot
know.
of this stuff, though, a lot of the stuff like Aaron was saying, there's a gasket, it's part of this part. There's a turbo, it's all part of this part. They want to throw this stuff together so fast, and the guy in the plant just wants to put it on. Like, he don't want to mess with a gasket or nothing because it's going to be so much faster. They want it to go together fast.
Yep.
Oh,
I do have a question for you dealer techs. So if you get, and I'm sure there's things like this, and I'm going back 20 some odd years. There are certain things that were assembled in a way for, efficiency and not so much for service work. So if you have, like, for instance, the situation I'm talking about is on certain, like, 88 to 97, I know it's old stuff, MX6s, 626s, Probes. If you go to put the rear shock on, the bolts face the caliper and you have to take the caliper off to do rear shocks. Whereas my dad would just flip the bolts around when he did that service work, but that's not the way it came. So how do you guys feel about doing that for the next guy?
Yeah.
I do it the way
try
it came out.
I will make it more. I actually consciously feel bad if I don't try to make it easier for the next guy. So I won't do that. If I know that it doesn't matter, I'll flip it around so it's easier for the next person.
Sure.
That's what I do.
I'll put it, if it's going to take me less time to reassemble it and it's still functionally sound, I'm not going to spend, the hour it took me to get this one bolt out because it smacked into something. It's going in the other way and the nut's going on and it's going out the door.
Yeah.
My first thing that I think about when you ask that are the turbo
clamps.
Oh
yeah.
And leaving them pointed in the right direction. It's like, the one time you get it, dude put an engine in with the cab off and puts the stud sticking straight up.
Yeah, no.
So now I got to sit
And
here
now you're hugging it.
wrenching. Am I gonna put
Quarter
that
turn
back
at a
on?
time.
Right.
Click.
Or
Come on.
or the people that take the downpipes apart and they tighten that clamp that goes onto the turbo first, and then they just take the bolt and run it all the way in that goes into the rear cover. You know which one I'm talking about? Go to pull that downpipe off years later and you go to line it back up and it's just not going. Because they bent the hell out of that Cobra head.
I think about all kinds of little stuff like that. If I'm doing a fuel tank, if I have to replace like a filler neck or something like that. Oh, I wonder if the last guy left the clamp on in the right direction so I can just get right in here and pull this clamp off and pull the neck off of it. Or am I going to have to reach in here like a freaking circus clown trying to mangle my arms up all kind of different ways with a little ratchet, sit there and get this thing loose. And I'll look up in there and I'll see, oh, yes, 12-inch extension, swivel socket. Thank you, last dude that worked on this for leaving it in a good spot. Or I'll get up in there and I'll see, I know somebody's worked on this before, and I'll look and it's pointing straight up into the bottom of the vehicle. I can't get anything out of it. And I'm like, you fucking.
Yeah, Rich, what makes that 10 times worse when it's like a clamp that's buried down in an engine bay and you're like, I can tell someone worked on it. Who worked on it last? You look at the service history and it was you. You're like, oh, okay. Not as smart as I thought.
And that's another good point to Eric's question as well is, you may want to make it more easy for the next guy because you might be the next guy when that vehicle comes back because something else happened, or you got to take it back apart because you forgot to tighten something else up or whatever. And I don't know.
Should I lubricate these rear subframe bolts on this Transit? Nah.
Just send it.
Send it.
Dude, working on a truck shop, you watch someone over there pulling wheels off and they had to get the dually buddy out and they're fighting them and they won't come out. And then you watch that guy You
Yeah.
can't hear it. You just hear them beating the wheel back onto the hub and come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're gonna see that vehicle. I hope you're the next guy that gets the vehicle back after you did that, so.
Yeah.
Clean
Yeah.
'em up.
Them
Little bit of
smells of beans.
Clean them up and make it easier. So in case you are the next guy, or, the next guy's not having to deal with what you're, oh my God, some of the municipality, like the F450s and 550s with the dump beds that only get used like 1 or 2 months out of the year. And then you don't see them again until next year. And they want a tire rotation with their oil change or something like that. And you're like, are you freaking kidding me, dude? Nobody's had these things off for like an entire year and they're seized back on here again. Yeah. Yeah. You got to get the torch out, start heating up around it because the dually buddy's not working or whatever it is. Or the diesel tech, he's back there in the corner. Boom, boom. I was like, oh, must be one of them municipality trucks.
Son of a bang.
Sucks to be you, buddy.
Can I get it? Yeah.
And you wonder why he's upset all the time.
Well, we'll leave it at here. Before we go, we'll do our weekly fuel check-in. I saw a couple of guys rattle a few off. If you're still there, 111 of you guys, so wherever you're at in the part of the country, what's fuel, what's diesel, what's gas, how much is your EV charge costing you? I want to know what that diesel burning. I want to know what prices is all over. Right now, I think we're at 549. I think, I don't know. It says 800 miles to the east, so I haven't filled up in a while.
We're into threes.
Yeah.
Dude, we're like $4 a gallon on our side of the state.
Dang.
Getting juice. Hold on, let me check. 419.
What are we at, Crowster?
I got a little unique. I don't really pay too close attention, but I would just say that it's right around 572, I think I saw.
Yeah.
Strategic.
I know it's up there.
Strategic.
$1 more.
Strategic.
Strategic.
I know what it is.
We'll catch you guys all next time. I appreciate you. The I Do Car Guys, DS Trucks, who's fading into the Gilly Mist, Crowster, Rainman, Ford Boss, these two, Bob Vila, Beanbags, and we got Meat Man Matt here with Bearded Ford Tech. We appreciate you guys watching. Reach out if you guys have any issues. DCR pump install coming soon. We'll see you guys. See ya.